I've heard it said that Pokemon doesn't do a lot to change as each game is released, and normally I would refute this. I would defend Pokemon and say that everything's fine and it doesn't need to change anything. But, nobody likes buying the same game released a year later. And while Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they're not necessarily bad games, but I think they're really lazy when you consider how much is reused from the original Sun and Moon. Now, full disclaimer, I totally bought Pokemon Ultra Sun myself, so I'll specifically be talking about my experiences in that game, but I can't imagine Ultra Moon is that different. With that said, let's get right into it. The basic gameplay mechanics are the same as with every Pokemon game previous. You've still got your team of 6 Pokemon, they each all have 4 moves, and you've got to memorize all the type advantages and disadvantages, for strategy reasons. Z moves have made their return from Pokemon Sun and Moon, and aside from a few new Z moves here and there, they function practically the same way, which, if you didn't know, is as like a super move to help turn the battle in your favor. Mega Evolution is also in the game, although you cannot use it until after you beat the main story, which I believe is also the same as the original Sun and Moon. This game opens a little bit differently to the original Sun and Moon, where the starters run to save you from some wild Pokemon. However, this change does not last long, with the game quickly reverting to being pretty much exactly the same as the previous games, until like the 3rd island or so is when things start getting different. The wild Pokemon and trainer battle themes have been changed, and they're fine, there's nothing wrong with them, but it's kind of unnecessary. Would have rather them changed a few other things. In fact, most of the game is the same, and like I said, until you reach the 3rd island. The Zygarde cells have been removed from the game completely, and in their place there are totem stickers. Once you have enough of the totem stickers, you show them to Professor Oak, a lowland form Oak, obviously, and he'll give you a larger totem Pokemon as seen in the trials, like Gumshoos, Mimikyu, all those good guys. It's pretty cool, although me myself, I preferred Zygarde because there was more of an incentive to get all of the stickers, I found, because you get the perfect Zygarde. In the Festival Plaza they added the Battle Agency, which is, I think it's a pretty neat addition. It lets you rent Pokemon to do battles, which I believe Pokemon Emerald had something similar to this in the Battle Frontier. It's pretty fun as you can try out Pokemon that you probably would never have used otherwise. A few of the trials have been altered from the original Sun and Moon. These are as follows: Lana's trial, Kiawe's trial, Mallow's trial, and Sophocles' trial. I won't spoil exactly what's been changed about them, but I would say that all the changes made are for the better, with Sophocles' being my favourite of the bunch. A new trial has also been added to the game for Mina, who in the original games just kind of came up to you and gave you the fairy Z-Power, Z-Crystal, and she's got a new trial now. However, this new trial does feel like they're padding in the end of the game, because it does make you travel all over the world again. The game also introduces a few mini-games, and to be quite honest, they're fairly underwhelming. The first is Mantine Surfing. Now, what I thought this would be, I thought it would give you free movement to travel to all the islands, and also get to battle wild Pokemon in the sea, similar to how the Eon Flute worked in Oras. What we get instead is a pretty darn boring auto-scroller where you slowly crawl along towards the island automatically, and you can perform tricks off the wave, and that's it. That's nothing else you can do. No wild Pokemon, nothing. Thankfully, the game only forces you to play this minigame once. The second of the minigames is where you will ride a legendary Pokemon of your choosing through some ultra wormholes. You need to collect energy in order for your Pokemon to travel further and move faster to get, further into the ultra space. During this minigame, you will have the chance to go through portals which have Pokemon inside of them for you to battle and catch. This is how you will find the legendaries from the previous generations, like Mewtwo, the dogs, Lugia, Giratina, all those good guys. At first glance, the minigame actually seems quite enjoyable and fun. However, there's this itsy-bitsy tiny little problem of the fact that it's motion controlled. No. For me personally, I couldn't stay using the gyroscope. I just couldn't do it. And unfortunately, if you want to get all the legendary Pokemon, you will be playing this minigame a lot. Another of the new things added in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are the Ultra Recon Squad. And they are, quite frankly, the most pointless addition to the game. You could remove them entirely and the plot would only change slightly. The members of the Ultra Recon Squad that you meet are different in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, although it doesn't drastically improve or change the plot in any way. There is quite a lot to do in the post-game of Ultra Sun and Moon, and you can see that's where most of their focus was, as it should have been. The first thing to do is a little mini-story revolving around Team Rainbow Rocket. What a terrible name. I'm not going to spoil it here, but basically you have to fight all the evil team leaders from previous games, which is actually really cool. They all have new music, which, that's nice. During this Rainbow Rocket segment, there are also puzzles that directly call back to previous areas in the series, like Team Aqua and Magma's bases, the Game Corner in Celadon City, and others. In addition to the Team Rainbow Rocket stuff, they also decided to add all of the legendaries on the planet into the game. These can be found, as I mentioned previously, by travelling through Ultra Space and playing the dumb minigame. There's a lot of them and it's pretty random if they show up or not, so good luck with that. The battle tree also returns from Pokemon Sun and Moon, and from what I can gather it's essentially the same thing. Red and Blue are still there at the top being awesome and will fight you there. Not sure why they couldn't have helped take out Team Rainbow Rocket, that would have been pretty cool I think. If you defeat the Elite Four again and sit on the Throne of Champions, you will get a different challenger every time. This was also in Sun and Moon, but some of the challenges in this game are different. And it does lengthen the playtime, so if you want to fight everyone, so that's I think it's a nice inclusion. Now the question is, are these games better than the original Sun and Moon? And the answer to that question is yes. Yes they are. I would have personally given the original Sun and Moon a 9 out of 10. So I should probably give the Ultra versions more because they are better games. Slightly. But I just can't do it. Because of how much of the original Sun and Moon were reused in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, especially in the first 2/3 of the game or so. Like, the changes they made could have been DLC in any other game. That's a fact. They're not that big. They did not warrant another 2 games to be made. If it was 1 game, that would have been fine. I would have given it more. 2 versions, ridiculous. Not to mention, you are going to need to have access to both versions of the games if you want to get all the legendaries, because of course they're version exclusive. It feels kind of like they just wanted your money, however, but it is a very, very fun game, especially the stuff where stuff does start changing, the last third or so of the game. Very, very enjoyable. So with all that taken into account, my score that I'm going to give Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is a 8 out of 10. It probably does deserve higher, but the retreading of Sun and Moon in the early parts make it really hard to get invested in it. If you skipped the original Sun and Moon for whatever reason, you should play this game instead of them. And if you did buy Sun and Moon, then maybe wait for the price to go down, although Pokemon price doesn't go down very much. And for the love of God, Pokemon Switch is another freaking Alola game. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, so in the next section I'll be talking about spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled on the game, thank you for watching and bye bye. So let's talk about the big plot changes. We'll start from the Ether Foundation, as that's where it really starts deviating. Before the point where you go to Ether Paradise to save Lily, you'll just hear a few things regarding Necrozma from the Ultra Recon Squad and about how he stole all the light from their world. At the Ether Paradise, when you confront Lucamine, you find out that she's actually trying to open the Ultra Wormholes so she can go and defeat Necrozma and save Alola. So she's not evil anymore and she doesn't turn into a jellyfish monster. That's okay. This is an odd decision, as she was a pretty good villain in the original Sun and Moon. Although it doesn't really negatively affect the game at all. It's actually a very good subversion of the expectations you have. It also allows for character development to further between Gladion, Lily and Lucamine, as they all end up reconciling by the end of the game. So that's good. Like, happier ending. Instead, the main villain is probably Necrozma himself, although they do try and make you feel bad for him as well, so doesn't really have a villain this game. He shows up, steals your legendary, and then you have to fight him like a few times. That second battle though. Second battle with Necrozma. He freaking one-shots everything. Come on man, I'm not even under-leveled. Oh, no, it's fine though, because when you get around to catching Necrozma, and also whichever game's legendary you have in your game, it's ridiculously easy. They must have really high catch rates or something. I haven't looked it up. I caught both Solgaleo and Necrozma in one quick ball each. One. That's ridiculous. I miss when catching legendaries was somewhat challenging and actually felt like an accomplishment. The last change is actually, I find it kind of disappointing. The final fight to become the champion is not against Kukui any longer. It is against... it's just Hal. I mean, talk about a bit of a letdown. I mean, nothing against Hal, but he isn't the best rival and certainly not worthy to be the champion battle, in my opinion. I found the battle itself really easy as well. His strongest Pokemon is the same level as Ultra Necrozma, which was fought hours earlier. Sorry Hal, but bring back Kukui, at least that was a really cool surprise. After you beat the game, Sophocles will come and tell you that something has happened to Festival Plaza. This is the beginning of the Team Rainbow Rocket part of the game. This part basically forces you to try out the battle agency if you haven't yet to drive out Team Rainbow Rocket from the Festival Plaza. However, the main focus of episode Rainbow Rocket is when Team Rocket take over Ether Foundation and kidnap Lucamine, so then you and Lily decide to go save the day. Oh yeah, Lily has a Pokemon now, it's a Clefairy, it's basically no help in the few double battles that you end up in. In order to make your way to the top of the castle to face Giovanni, you must first defeat all the evil team leaders from previous games. These are Archie, Maxie, Cyrus, Lysander and Getsis. There's also the little point that they all use legendaries. What? Literally, the first time I saw this, I thought I misread it. I thought it said something else. Not to mention, Giovanni uses a Mega Mewtwo. However, that's pretty much it. There's not much else other than fighting all of the evil leaders. It would have been nice if they made it a bit longer and had more story to it, similar to how the Delta episode worked in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. What we got was still pretty cool though, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so I think I've talked about everything I want to cover right now, so thank you for watching the video, have a good day. Bye bye.